Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. And today we are stepping into one of the most explosive, aggressive, and honestly, one of the most damage dealers in the game. Because when we talk about Kayla, we are not talking about control, we are not talking about patience, and we are definitely not talking about safe gameplay. We are talking about pressure, about chaos, about constant damage that doesn't stop, doesn't slow down, and doesn't care about what is standing in front of her. Kayla is built around one simple idea. Damage, damage, and more damage. But the way she delivers that damage is what makes her so dangerous. She does not play the front line, she does not respect the enemy tank, she does not wait for a perfect setup. She watches the battlefield, she finds her moment, and then she jumps directly into the enemy team to start spreading destruction. And that first jump, that first contact, is where everything begins, because her burst alone is already enough to eliminate fragile targets in just a few hits, but that is only the surface of what she really does. Because with Kayla, we are not just dealing with physical damage. We are dealing with something much more dangerous. Self-inflicted burning that transforms into pure damage. And this is where many players underestimate her, because that burning hurts her, yes. But at the same time, it accelerates her, it feeds her energy, it pushes her faster toward her next action, and suddenly what looks like a drawback becomes a weapon. The more she burns, the faster she moves, and the faster she moves, the more pressure she creates, and once that cycle starts, it becomes very difficult to stop. And then comes the part that makes her even more lethal. The blindness. Because once she lands and starts dealing damage, she also blinds the enemy, and this completely changes the way physical teams respond to her. Because now they are not just under pressure. They are missing. Their attacks fail, their timing breaks, and what should be a counterattack becomes hesitation, and hesitation against Kayla is something you cannot afford. She does not give you time to recover, she does not give you space to rebuild. She keeps going, she keeps pushing, and that is where fights collapse. Now, this kind of power on its own is already strong. But Kayla truly shines when you understand how to amplify it, how to build around it, and how to create conditions where that first jump becomes the beginning of the end. And this is where synergy comes into play, because Kayla is not just about what she does. She is about what happens around her when she starts moving. Take Guus, for example. This is one of those interactions that feels natural the moment you see it. Kayla jumps in, she starts applying pressure, and immediately she receives the golden feather, and that timing is everything. Because what you are building here is tempo. Fast, aggressive, overwhelming tempo. The goal is not to sustain a long fight, the goal is to break the enemy before they can react, to eliminate key targets before they even understand what is happening. And with Guus, that becomes possible, because now you have pure damage, critical hits, and sustain all working together in a single moment. It is not just damage anymore. It is execution. Now if you want something different, something that trades a bit of that aggression for adaptability, then Aiden becomes the perfect partner. Because here, the fight changes its rhythm. You are no longer relying only on burst and critical hits. You are introducing resilience, survivability, and one of the most frustrating mechanics to deal with. Resurrection. Suddenly, bringing Kayla down is no longer enough, because she comes back, and when she comes back, she brings the same pressure again. And at the same time, the healing increases, the maximum health grows, and that directly impacts the way both heroes perform. The fight becomes longer, more flexible, and much harder for the enemy to control, because even when they think they have found an opening, it disappears. Then we move into a different direction with Folio, and here the dynamic shifts again. Because now we are not just stacking one type of damage. We are introducing layers. Physical damage, pure damage, magical pressure. Multiple sources that force the enemy to split their defense. And this is where Kayla becomes even more unpredictable, because now the enemy cannot focus on a single weakness, they cannot adapt to one threat, they are being attacked from different angles at the same time. And that is what wins fights. Not just raw numbers, but complexity, the inability of the opponent to respond correctly. And from here, we can expand even further, because Kayla fits into multiple structures depending on what you want to achieve. With Oya, you gain disruption, you break formations, you hit harder against shielded enemies, and suddenly the front line is no longer a barrier, it becomes an entry point. With Sebastian, you enhance critical hits, and every burst becomes even more lethal, every moment of contact becomes more dangerous, more decisive. And with Tristan, you reinforce the offensive side even further, pushing Kayla into a role where she is not just a damage dealer. She is the core of the team's pressure. And this is where the real understanding of Kayla begins, because she is not a hero that waits for the perfect moment. She creates it. She forces the fight into her rhythm, she accelerates the pace, and she punishes hesitation. But at the same time, she requires awareness, she requires positioning, and she requires support that understands her tempo. Because if you place her in the wrong environment, if you slow her down, if you try to turn her into something she is not, she loses impact. Kayla is not a hero for control players. She is not a hero for defensive strategies. She is a hero for those who want to dictate the fight, for those who want to push forward, for those who understand that sometimes the best defense is overwhelming offense. And when you build her correctly, when you surround her with the right allies, when you let her do what she was designed to do, she becomes one of the most dangerous forces you can bring into a fight. So Guardians, if you want to get the best out of Kayla, don't try to change her. Understand her. Build around her strengths, amplify her aggression, and create the conditions where her first jump is not just an action, but a decision that ends the fight. Because once she starts, there is no going back. Stay tuned, stay sharp. And as always, salute and friendship.